Welcome back to another edition of the Just in Time podcast. We are going to get right into it. We had an Easter miracle happen.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee just fell apart
That's what they've been doing all year.
because, I don't know what happened. We had 4 errors. They had as many hits as we had errors, and we're up 5-1, 5-0 at one point, and it just slowly got out of hand for them. And then they did their best LSU impression in the ninth with an error that allowed us to tie the game up.
Feed off
You
each
know.
other, brother.
Yeah, but we had a pretty good weekend. We went 2-1.
Right.
You add yesterday, we went 2-2. But let's look at it week by week. We went 3-1 over last week. We got pushed back up to the top 25, 24.
Yeah.
Really, I think they just did that for the matchup for this weekend, Whoa. Okay.
So it's reconnecting.
Guess I'm out here by myself for a second. But yeah, we had some pretty significant moments. We had some pretty significant down moments. One of the huge moments was York being sat was a catalyst for us. I don't want to be harsh on a guy. I bet him he's a good guy, but he might be the worst first baseman in LSU history. The media overhyped him, made us feel like at least when I read it, made it felt like those 32 home runs came in one season before the season started. We have so many guys that are more reliable defensively, which is saying something because in my opinion, we are terrible defensively. Hey.
Yeah.
I just kept going talking about York.
Got me. Yeah.
I think he's the worst first baseman in LSU recent history.
This is why he gave him the LVP for the week.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I think the media overhyped him, I don't remember if I just read it that way, but I read it as he hit 32 home runs in a season last season, in not 32. If I would have saw 32 home runs over a course of 3 years at Grand Canyon, I would have been like, wow.
Yeah.
We really went out and got this guy. But defensively, he's just as big of a letdown as he is offensively,
Right.
We have a catcher who, they put him to sleep on Sunday,
Right.
which turned out to be a blessing because all Eddie Yaman did come in and do was get on base 3 times and be defensively sound behind the plate. And I think that's your starting catcher. Defensively, he's the best defensive catcher we have. He can hit. He's not a liability on offense. He can hit. He got on base a lot last night, and he got on base a lot as our catcher on Sunday. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
Aaron Beatty, they just need to Sharpie him in at DH and leave him alone because
that's what's working right now, man. I wouldn't touch it. That's the biggest. That's the big debate about just those guys. Just keep him at DH in York sit for a while. That's really just been like that's been the biggest dialogue, at least one of them the last several days.
Yeah, and look, if you have to, Jay, if you absolutely have to move Yaman, move him to first base and just rotate Cerna and him at catcher and first base. Give him a break and let him rotate. York is too much of a liability at first base. He doesn't give you those athletic abilities like Braun does. Just look at last night. We had an out. We reviewed. They called safe. Braun was able to reach out there and pluck the ball before the kid got across the base, and I've never seen York do that. But even bigger headline for us is Milam got his first error.
Yeah, and I don't think he was supposed to be charged to him personally. Obviously, how much he's been flawless all year up to that point. At least from my vantage point when I was watching the play, what was just an incredibly wild throw. You know what I mean? So
it was.
But it's. I mean,
to me, I'm like that too. I thought it should have been charged to Dardar.
Correct.
The ball hit him right in the glove. I mean, it was a little bit of a wild outside throw, but
Yeah, it was the most crisp throw in the world, but just it wasn't terrible. It wasn't an arid pass, so I just thought it was still
No,
a
I
makeable
would have gave it
play.
to Dardar.
Yes.
Yeah, our batting average is back to 288, team batting average. Fielding percentage is down a tick to 963. Pitching, though, other than last night, our pitching wasn't our issue.
Yeah, and pitching throughout this stretch was really solid. It wasn't any dominant performance individually, but just when you look at the collective on the mound did a really great job considering the circumstance. You know, especially playing in a small, Mexico to talk about. He hates the Tennessee.
Yeah,
He hates the Tennessee ballpark, the bitty ballpark is what he calls it. He went on a couple of rants.
I was laughing because they said that we kept announcing largest crowd in Lindsey Nelson history, 7,000 and something.
Seven
I
thousand.
remember in 23, I went to that Tennessee game and
Man,
we had the capacity crowd at 12,318, I think it was at
yeah,
that point.
yeah,
And then 2 years later, we had the next one. I think it was against Tennessee again, the next largest crowd.
yes.
So I was there for both largest crowds.
There you go. That's what I'm
And
talking about, brother.
when that place gets loud, it just, we're talking about the box, not Lindsey Nelson. When the box gets loud, it makes it tough for an opposing team to play there,
Of course.
but last night, look, coming back from you go back to Kentucky series, we big comeback win against them, big comeback win against Southern, then a comeback win against Tennessee on Friday night, and a comeback win against Tennessee on Sunday. That catches up with you.
It
You don't
does.
play solid ball all game long, that's going to catch up with you. Not to say that last night we didn't play solid ball all game long. I thought we played solid ball. I thought what got us in trouble is, just like Jay said in his post game, they came to play and was ready. What got them was we couldn't find the strike zone on both sides of the ball that seventh inning. And what got me is, and you better have this fixed for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week, because you're playing Ole Miss
Yep.
at Ole Miss. And what you need to take care of is when you have the bases juiced with 0 outs, you have to capitalize. You have to get 2 across at least.
And that was like the whole seventh inning was just the tipping point of the game.
I mean, we get the bases loaded, no outs
No
for
outs.
Milam struck out.
Yes.
Jake Brown strikeout. Who batted third last night?
Look, let me see this.
You know what? I could just go to Facebook because I shared it.
Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson, 3-pitch strikeout. That's the kind of stuff that can't happen to you. That kid from Bethune-Cookman, whatever, I thought he just had a really nice inning. He came in and did what he
Zambrano.
needed to do. They couldn't touch him.
Zambrano.
Yeah, they couldn't touch him. You gotta tip your hat to him. But coming up at Ole Miss, we've got to get better at taking those strides and getting those runs across, capitalizing, not walking 4 straight guys almost. Let's see, I'll pull it up. They don't have the stats line out yet, like the actual books for it, but I can still pull up inning by inning, I think, on this. But what can't happen is, I don't know if Jay was just trying to, hold his guys back, try to save pitching for this weekend when we're going to need it. But let's go. I think it was the 7th they scored all those runs. Yeah. We put Rizzi in the pitch for, we put Lockenmeyer in the pitch for Garcia. Hit by a pitch. We take him out, put Rizzi in, hit by pitch. A fly out, a walk, and a walk. So they got 2 runs off of walks, and then they got to
Yeah.
run off an error, a fielding error. That kind of stuff can't happen. We need to clean that up. We had 2 errors last night, We left 15 on 2 errors and got 11 hits. You can't be doing that. And before that, it was a good game up until that
Yeah.
7th inning.
Yeah, I was encouraged. It's funny, like it's disappointing how it ended because, to your point, I was very encouraged by the offensive start because they've had a big struggle starting off quick in these games offensively. So first inning, and listen, I understand the competition, but listen, You get 2 right away in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Didn't score in the fifth, but you had 1 in the sixth. So you were steadily producing runs throughout the
Yeah,
first several innings. You just went cold, unfortunately. From the fourth inning on, you scored 2 runs, and one of those were in the bottom of the ninth. So it
exactly.
just went cold. But I was really
Yeah.
encouraged by the
But
start of the game.
yeah, I was really encouraged. We went 3 up, 3 down to start the first. We didn't commit an error. We played solid baseball, and then we just fell apart towards the end. Defensively, the changes that we need to make, you know, I like the move to Braun at first. He's been a
Mhm.
solid bat in the lineup.
Yeah,
He had that one boneheaded base running mistake. I'll give it to him. He's hit the ball. He's played solid up until that point. We could leave him in at first base. The Yaman played a solid defensive game
yeah,
on Sunday. I think he needs to be your starting catcher on Friday night against Ole Miss. I think Aaron Beatty needs to be your DH.
DH.
I don't think Zach York needs to touch the field for a very long time. Last night we've got a few worries, some incidents coming from Sunday. Cerna got a mild concussion
Yeah,
after being put to sleep on Sunday, trying to go get a wild throw Jake Brown threw up the line. Then last night, I don't know if you saw it, but a couple of weeks ago during the Florida State Duke game, they had kind of the same thing that happened with Dardar. Dude slid into second base and his ankle was like this.
so I didn't see that one, but I heard about it today on Scone.
Yeah.
But like just
It
because like
was,
it was like just watching that play last night, it looked awful, and we watched it in real
yeah, it
time.
did.
It was rough. It was like, man, that's tough. I was like, that's a miracle that he was able to come up there. I was like, it just looked so much worse
Yeah,
than what it was. Just thankfully that he was able to get up.
exactly.
It looked awful.
Okay, I don't think they took Dardar out. Reeves pinch hit for Dardar in the eighth, but
Mhm.
Dardar played that inning, so
Yeah, right.
realistically, I think he's okay. Realistically, I think Dardar is okay. What scared me was when Stanfield went to the
Yeah,
wall for that ball, and his left wrist was like this on the wall.
yeah,
That kind of scared me. He was huge. The reason I think we've had this stretch of run where we came, where we're at now, is because Stanfield's back in the lineup, was back in the lineup. Hopefully, they showed him looking good yesterday in the dugout with ice on his wrist.
right, right.
I mean, you couldn't tell if it was swollen or not, but it looked
Because I was the same
good.
hand he injured when he was sliding earlier in the
Yeah.
season.
So hopefully that doesn't mean anything. Hopefully that's okay. And he's back in the lineup for Friday. Hopefully Dardar's is nothing because he's played a pretty solid second base for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's
Turned
really
more double plays
yeah,
as of late. And we don't really have another guy. You got Caraway, but Caraway is a third baseman. He doesn't really gel at second base.
mhm.
Losing Dardar's bat would be huge, you know?
Yes, especially since he's come along so well in the last couple weekends.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's yeah,
We haven't had a guy who can play second base and hit. And then you lost Simpson for the rest of the, I'm pretty sure for the rest of the season with a broken thumb. But a plus is, I think this was from last weekend or a press conference before. Jay said Cooper Moore would be back the following weekend, and not as a starting 5 inning kind of guy, but as maybe a bullpen type of guy coming out the bullpen in
okay.
some
Yeah, that's
capacity.
huge news. Yeah,
That's a big bump. I don't know if that
big time.
still stands today because you know how these things can change. But as of, I think it was last Wednesday, I saw it. As of last Wednesday, it seems promising that we can get more back sooner rather than later, which would be huge because he's a reliable guy
Big time. Yes.
who throws strikes. I mean, if you look at our powerhouse polls, he was on the powerhouse polls for a couple of weeks in a row.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it right now. So he made it the each of the first 4 weeks. Like
Yeah,
he's currently has 7 total appearances, but with 21 points. When you consider the fact he missed the last 3 weeks, I mean, just you understand 2 3 weeks or so, I should say. But just he was like the most steadiest until William Smith started to really take the next step. He was the most steady starter for like the first several stretches of the
yeah, and that's to me, we need that back
yes.
because of what happened specifically last night. Even if he comes out the bullpen and throws, or if we pinch it, we put him in on to start on a Sunday game because neither one of those two guys that have started has made it longer than 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah.
Get us a clean 2 or 3 innings to start the game. Now, Fontenot, in my opinion, I think he did great on Sunday.
This
I think
thing
if
right
we
now.
need him to go, we need to go longer. I'm confident that he can go the distance for us. I think he only went
It
two
went
and a
2
third.
2/3. Yeah.
Yeah, he fell apart in the third inning. But yeah, look at Cowan. He gave up 2 runs in 4 innings. That's a huge guy for us.
Right. Oh yeah. Love
But
how he's turning on.
we need guys like we've got Sharon, we've got Cowan. Fontenot comes out the bullpen if we get more back. Those 3 guys. Then you got Guidry who comes in and only looks good when he's got that adrenaline rush coming off of. That's why he's not a starting pitcher to me. He's just a
Yeah.
guy coming out the bullpen. You got those 4 or 5 guys. You got Garcia you can throw in there that look good. You got your 3 starting guys, those guys, and then Fontenot could be that 4th starter if you need it because he's really good. I was impressed because we fell behind, but we didn't fall behind because of pitching and walks. We fell behind because our first baseman couldn't scoop a ball out the dirt. We fell behind because we had Milan making his first error, which originally I think is on Dardar.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't charge that to Milan.
Yeah, and then a grand slam hit right there. But then you got us going back to back to back with home runs, which was huge. And then a guy like Aaron Beatty, you've got in the top of the seventh, you had Pearson homer, then you had Aaron Beatty homer, and then you had Dardar homer, right? Back to back to back. And that's what we needed, That's what you needed. And coincidentally, I think if you look at it, the time we started picking it up with the bats is about the time I think they took York out.
Somebody mentioned that on Reddit. I think actually, yes, indeed. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. No, they took York out. We did it. Technically, they did because they took him out in the ninth, I think. And Braun pitch hit for York in the ninth, and then we played solid. But let's just go on to powerhouse pose. All right, I'll let you go first.
All right. So this is what I got for the pitching. Obviously, I put a note. Just what a massive performance, clutch performance. This is our first series win in Knoxville since 2016. So it's some. So I was that was the summer I just got. That was the semester I just got my first truck.
Yeah, and
Still
coincidentally, I think that was before Vitello went to Tennessee,
mm, interesting. Yeah,
or it might have been his first year.
yeah. So that's
Either way,
that lets you know how long it's been. Bottom
yeah,
line. But yeah, but to start off with the pitching, my top three I went with William Schmidt, Gavin Guidry, and Casey Evans. My quick notes were just, the Tennessee series was a collective win on the mound, like I said earlier. Even though there wasn't an individually dominant performance in my view, the pitching, the staff was perfectly good enough for the team to win. And they just did not get any help from the field. Field that was just awful throughout this stretch, man.
yeah,
It's like, my gosh. It's like they were put in such terrible positions. You know, uh,
mm-hmm,
on the interesting note, I said, the Vols they were held to a combined 8 hits the final 2 games of the series. Game one they had 9 hits, but a couple of those were aided by fielding errors. But total, the combined
yeah,
the last 2 games was 8. Even though So obviously William Schmidt, he was a large part of them being held to, well, I think it was like three hits on Saturday or something like that. He was a massive part of
Yeah,
that because he played the most of the game. Gidry, even though he had the blown save, at one point during his outing on game three, he went three up, three down multiple times, including the ninth inning, to finish off game,
yeah,
like just to push it to extras.
yeah, and, if you combine our errors for the weekend, we had more errors than Tennessee had hits in
It's
that stretch
crazy.
you were talking about.
Yeah.
Actually, no, we didn't. Sorry about that. We had 5 errors on the weekend, and we didn't have any errors on Friday night, which was a first.
But even still, it was just like he just pitching did not get pitching wasn't the reason they struggled in this series. Thankfully the
No.
offense had a lot of carried a lot of weight outside of Saturday, of course. But yeah, that's my pitching.
Yeah, my pitching is Botno. Like I said before, I think he came in and did a tremendous job on Sunday.
Mhm.
He limited the damage. Just
Yeah.
like with Schmidt, though, what got us in trouble was our terrible defensive play. With Schmidt on Saturday, York commits an error that gives him 2 runs, you know. Then Aaron Beatty, the only reason he got named the Buster Posey Catcher of the Week is because he hit 4 home runs in a game. It's not off of his defense, it's purely off of his offense. Lets the ball go. Now I'll give him one because Schmidt burned through that mitt. When they got the 4th run, which ended up being a great insurance run for them, not that they needed it on Saturday, he let one go to the wall, which he should have caught. But my number 2 guy was Guidry. I think that was really after that week he had where he started against Kentucky, he came back and gave up 1 inning through 5 and I think it was 5 and a third. That Saturday?
But Gidry was on Sunday.
Yeah, 5 and a third. Guidry threw, and he only gave up 2 hits and 1 run, and he walked 1.
Yep.
So, he looked good. I gave it to him, and then Evans, I thought Evans did a tremendous job keeping the
Yeah.
game close and keeping it at
Right.
hand. Let's see, he gave up 3 runs, went 5 and 2/3, and gave up 6 hits, but he kept it in that realm of possibility for us to make that comeback we did in the
That's
7th,
absolutely right.
or the 8th, I'm sorry, the 8th. Where we made that comeback in the 8th and we just took over and Sharon got the save and Garcia got the win. And that's my top 3 for pitching, Fontenot, Guidry, and Evans.
Copy that. I like it.
Yeah. Let you go ahead and do your offense.
So offense, I have start off with Kate Aaron Beatty. Number 2, I got Derek Curiel. And last addition from I think it was early this morning, I put Stephen Milan. So but number 1 was just you could really make a compelling argument for Curiel just because like he was so steady throughout the stretch. It just really just been on fire
Yeah.
recently. But just I just kept it with Cade because I became the first player in LSU the illustrious history of this program. This is a program with 8 national
Exactly.
championships, and it's like nobody else with all the home run hitters, first one to ever do 4 in a game.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
he's only the 4th in the conference to do it.
That's right. I saw
They
that
said that last
recently.
night. And
Yeah.
yeah. I think the closest one was this season with Jake Brown,
Yeah,
3 in
I
1
remember.
game.
Yeah,
And then I think maybe a year or 2 ago was Jones had 3 in a game,
yeah, yeah. It was
so
just
that comes.
that goes without saying, just like in that, and really what really helped me push over the edge for him, I just put in the rubber match. This is an all-time clutch performance. I think so far this season, that's the most clutch individual performance of the year. Given that spot, given like a conference rival on the road in the rubber match, I just think that's the most clutch performance to this point, at least. Obviously with
Yeah.
Curiel second, he finished the Tennessee series with 7 hits and 5 RBIs. He hit 571 in those 3 games. He
Mhm.
hit 571.
Then I think last night he had a 3-hit game.
Yeah, yeah, that he did.
Yeah. He comes alive, and like they said, last week that they wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this season, Curiel and Brown swap places,
Yeah, it's definitely.
as team leader.
Yeah.
My offense
Well,
stayed the same as yours.
real quick with Stephen Milam. Just I put him like I was teetering for that last spot, but Stephen Milam just I feel like he was just a tad more steady because I was looking at Stanfield's stat. I was looking at a couple other people, but Stephen Milam to me
Yeah,
was more steady. He had like a 3-hit, 3 ribby game in the rubber match, so I just gave him the slight edge.
yeah. And I mean, if you look at it too, he flirted with a home run and got robbed.
Yeah.
I went Aaron Beatty, the 4 home runs was a huge, and I think he got a double or a single in there.
Hmm.
He went 4 for 5 on Sunday. He looked really good. He looked good last night. He continued, picked up right where he left off.
Yeah.
That grand slam is what eventually took us over the edge on Sunday. So he's number one. Curiel just had a solid last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, he is gonna get right. He's picking up right where we said he needed to be. He's coming back. He's playing his game. And then I went with Stanfield because on that Friday game, that solo home run really gave us an
That's
edge, and he puts the
right.
spark in it.
Yeah.
And that's my offensive guys. I'll let you go defense.
Yeah, just real quick with the office like this, I'm with like it was like him and between Milam and Stanfield. Just I wanted to give
Yeah.
a shot. Just I just can't you can't say enough about like how they perform and like Aaron Beatty was so robbed in that strikeout call. It was outrageous, like
Yeah.
woefully bad. I was like, oh my gosh, that's why Jay got tossed. I'm like,
That's
I don't blame him.
that is when I wish we had the ABS.
Maybe I said it during the game. I said,
I
"This
mean,
is long overdue, man. You cannot wait any longer without EBS
no.
in college. You cannot
You
wait any
know,
longer."
you look at it and it's not like we don't have the TrackMan data because they can come out and tell you how fast we hit what the exit velocity was
They tell you what
right
the pitch
there.
is. Yes.
They can tell you what the pitch is. A lot of that is from a lot of these commentators are former baseball players,
Mhm.
you know, but they can tell you what the pitch is. They know what we know. Look, we got everything. Just do it, but you got to do it differently for LSU to at least succeed. You got to do it differently from MLB. You can't let that be on the catcher and the pitcher or the batter because
Yeah, man, it's just
a guy like Jake Brown will get up there and then he'll sit there and do this the whole time, every pitch.
the thing, just like my thing is the fact, and what was crazy about like the call was so delayed. I'm like, bro, like
Yeah.
he sat there and then I said, no, you gotta be kidding me. Got to be
And look,
kidding me.
I'm not making fun of Jake Brown just to make fun of Jake Brown.
Of
I'm
course,
making
of
fun of
course.
Jake Brown because statistically, he is the one who whines the most about he could be clearly out like in that Southern game when that kid hit the ball, caught that ball.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if he just wanted to see him catch it again in slow motion or what on that replay, but he was out. The ball never hit the ground, and he turned to that dugout and quickly went.
I'm like, bro, it's clear, bro. That call was clear.
It was clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that call
There
was
was a
clear.
couple of them that were clear, but you got to rein it in. You got these young guys who are just think they're always, you know, a guy like Derek Curiel where he knows he's got great plate discipline and stuff like that, and he could tell if he doesn't swing, it's not a straight up strike. You know? A guy like him, it would be useful for him. If our catchers could catch the ball, it would be useful to our catchers.
For sure.
But you know, we just gotta get it going.
And speaking of like, was like last quick thing on the offense side, I just want to give a shout out to Jake Brown for that, just for that clutch game time RBI and the ribby single in the ninth to extend the game. Game was over without that
Yeah.
hit. So I just wanted to, even though he didn't make our list, I just wanted to give him that quick shout out because that was a major hit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll let you go with your defense
So with the defense,
now.
obviously, Steven Milam, number one, like you said, Sharpie Steven, he's just going to be pencil Sharpie in that the number one spot, race for second place. Number two is
I mean,
Curry. At this point, he's a
at
runaway.
this point, we can just stop and go with number 2 and 3. I mean, I don't think we even need to I don't even think we need to say that. I think we just need to start at 2 and 3.
So what's got Curry
I mean,
at
I don't
two
s
and Jake Brown at three. The same as last week. Both hours the same as last week.
yeah, I got it mine's the same as you, and I gave Brown that extra edge just because that play in right field.
Yeah, like the foul, the two I put, they both had great web gem plays. Brown's
Yeah.
foul territory catching game two, and Curia had multiple incredible wall hitting outs. Like he just lay his body out, just
Mhm.
really saying. Really, most notably when Gidry's on the mound at the end of the game. I forgot what inning it was. I don't know if it was 10th or 11th, but
It
just
was
like in
the
that deep shot,
yes.
and that's what I thought. It was like the
It
deep
was
shot. He like outstretched,
yeah,
boom, hit. I was like, man, that game's over without that hit.
yeah, and,
So it
I
was,
was looking at it and, I mean, I got kinda worried at one point because we had the game going and then somebody had their phone on the thing and it was a little ahead and all I could hear was the scream,
yeah,
and I thought they had walked us off, and I was like, "They
yeah,
can't do that again."
right.
But, like I said, my guys are the same. I got Curiel and Brown coming in at 2nd and 3rd. Milam, obvious first. They were talking about last night between Lynn Rollins and Ronnie Rance.
Yeah.
Can you just go ahead and say that Milam is the best defensive shortstop we've ever had at LSU?
Listen, I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody better at this point. The guys, I mean,
Yeah, I
automatic is
mean
automatic can be like, don't tell that to so and so
mhm,
on Reddit. So I saw some the other day. He had deleted the post though, but I don't know. I don't think he's an LSU fan, but he just talked about like how was Milam a top 100 prospect and stuff like that. He said he's an average arm
because
at best. Like he's a short guy. He's average arm. Like he's live. Like he makes errors. I said, brother, respectfully, like if you're using errors as a metric, you just simply haven't watched the games. Like that's
yeah,
just
maybe
like
he made a couple in his first 2 years, but he's been solid
yeah.
and, least valuable player, I think we said it already, Zach York. He's just terrible. I mean, I don't know if there's another first baseman we've had that's coming in as a true first baseman who has been as bad as him fielding wise. And I don't remember who I had this discussion with. They're like, well, he'll come around offensively. Offensively, it's different. You can come out of a slump. Defensively, I don't see you coming out of that slump defensively. That's just skill level. And I don't think he's got it skill wise to be in the SEC, a first baseman in the SEC. You know?
It's a tough watch right now because like he had such a strong start to the season. I just the thing is, like I said, I can live with you. It'll be one thing if you were just been unbelievably dominant offensively. I can like cope with like the defensive miscues, even though this is a defensive sport by structure, as I always say.
Mhm.
But just like if you are producing offensively, I mean, it'll be easier to stomach. Like the way
Yeah.
he's in the
Or
100s in conference play right now.
yeah, or if you're like Braswell was last year, where
Now,
you
elite defensively.
where it's not elite defensively and you're not letting in more than you're bringing in,
Yeah,
you know, I'm fine with that. But you are doing terrible on all facets of the game.
yeah,
And to me, that's where you just need to sit on the bench for a little while. You can get some garbage time. You can get some meaningful reps in the midweek, even though we need to start winning those midweek games. But in conference play, Brian can hit the ball. He's shown it. He's was the number one first baseman in whatever state we pulled him from. I'm
he was
good
from
with that. You
Indiana.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, he was
South
the
Bend.
first
Yeah,
number
South
one
Bend.
rated first baseman in Indiana.
I think he's from South Bend. Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I like it. I like the people of Louisiana coming together and getting more NIL money for these guys, starting
man.
auctions and all
Yes,
kind of other stuff. You know, I think that's huge. But I'll go let you go ahead and give your tone setting Tiger of the week.
the tone setting tiger for yours truly. I got fielding, man. Just you simply have to make the routine plays. It's a defensive
Yeah,
sport by structure. Listen. I never played, so I'm not going to sit here and say like I can coach these guys. But it's like a lot of people who play the game, they could tell you got to clean that stuff up. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So like, just it's called a routine plays for a reason. Just the miscues of extended innings, and they put the pitchers in tough spots. So like, thank God the offense really largely showed up against Tennessee, and the pitching just stayed
exactly.
firm because like we would have got swept otherwise
Yeah,
because the fielding was just so rough. You know, like, and granted, look, to be fair, the fielding, neither the pitching and offense has been elite and special all year, especially on a
yeah.
consistent basis, because they've been great in spurts, but not consistently. But at least they collectively showed up in Knoxville. Fielding has to be better, point blank.
Yeah. And look, like they said last night, you look at this pitching staff, and sure, we're down, but we lead the SEC in strikeouts.
That's right.
Pitching
Yeah.
staff does, you know. My tone setting tiger of the week is the head man in charge, Jay Johnson.
Mhm.
And he did it last night. Okay. He did it last night. I thought he needs to really take a hard look at two positions, one being first base and one being catcher, and
Yeah.
look at it and see that he has two guys in Eddie Yaman and Mason Braun or Cerna that you could plug in at first. But, at one point I heard somebody say this weekend, they could play a drinking game with how many times our catchers actually catch the ball and take a shot for how many times they catch the ball and still be sober, And I mean, that's the ugly truth. And Eddie Yaman actually catches the ball, he fields the position, and he does his job. You can't ask for any more. Plus, he hits. He's
Plus,
a steady bat in the lineup, you know?
but he produced this week, this last stretch for sure.
Exactly. So it's not hurting you. He's helping you. And same thing with first base, a more athletic guy over there, Mason Braun. You want to put Garcia in to catch for a little while and put Yaman at first, or you want to put just defensive changes, slight defensive changes need to be made going forward to have a successful time for the rest of the season. But I'll give out my player of the week. Offensively was just Aaron Beatty. You can't beat him. You can't beat it. He was solid. He's one of the sparks that won us the game,
Mhm.
and that's my guy. We're gonna have to. You're not just gonna walk into Ole Miss and it's gonna be easy.
Of
Ole
course
Miss is
not.
just like you. But I think if I'm not wrong, let's see, it's gonna be the same thing as it was this weekend with conference. Conference play wise, yeah, conference play wise, you're 6-6 in conference, and Ole Miss is 5-7. You have to take 2 or 3 from them. You have to stay ahead of at least them going forward. You're so close to getting that automatic regional bid. I think with the way this is shaking up in the SEC this year, which only 3 teams have actually pulled forward ahead, and that being Georgia at 10-2, Texas at 9-3, and Alabama at 8-4. The way the rest of this conference shakes up and how we keep beating up on each other in conference play, I think, you get in with 10 wins in the SEC, but you're locked at 14, 15 wins. And at 6 wins and what we've got left, I can see us getting those wins that we need, you know?
Yeah, just like you said, just there's still a good bit to be played for. Just I just want these guys to be consistent, man. Just you're not gonna
Yeah.
be perfect by any means, but just like, just if you even like when you lose these midweek games, obviously they will never carry the weight as a conference opponent, but just you gotta take something. You gotta take 2 out of 3 in these series to counteract that. Because at
Yeah.
least with the conference series, you're gonna carry a lot of the weight for your status in the
Yeah.
postseason.
And, we talk a lot about RPI. Losing to Bethune-Cookman didn't hurt you as bad as RPI, as bad as you think, because they're 10-2 in conference play and they're 23-10 overall after last night. They're a pretty good team, and that's why Jay penciled him in. He was looking for an RPI boost.
Yep, for sure. Listen,
Yeah.
man.
It shocks me looking at the conference. Okay. Arkansas at five and
Yes.
seven.
Yeah, man.
Oklahoma, with as good as they've been they were at the beginning of the season, is 5-7. And then, it's not surprising the top guys except for Alabama, I'm kind of shocked. Alabama is 8-4, but as good as they were going in, and Auburn at 6-6 kind of shocks me too. You know,
Yeah, everyone trying to find
it's
their
a
way.
the conference is really up for grabs. There's
Yeah,
nobody. LSU does his job against Georgia, and later on this year, I mean, there's nobody that's really setting the world on fire except for Georgia and Texas at the moment. You know.
right. It's just and speaking of Georgia, Georgia had like 28 runs like yesterday. That was
Yeah, like when they brought it up on
man.
the pregame show, they said Kirby Smart and the boys showed up and put up 4 touchdowns.
That's good.
But let's see, I didn't take really any notes for this series, but like I said, it was an Easter miracle in Knoxville. We've got to get better. I think we will get better. Last night was kind of a step back for us instead of a
Hmm.
step forward.
Yeah,
Pitching wise, I think fight wise, still got a lot of fight in us.
yeah,
Again, somebody said the difference between this year's team and 24's team is when the 24 team was losing, they just lost.
yeah,
This year's team, when they losing, they'll at least put some fight in it and give you a fight. They won't go down. They'll go down swinging. They won't go down just to go down.
yeah.
But
Just
I mean,
and that's what I do admire. That's what I do admire so far.
yeah. But these guys just need to come out and they just need to find that energy, and we need to have more along the lines of energy wise because it's just not fun to go out and watch them this year. But that'll do it for me. Any closing thoughts?
Just like brother, like Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is risen. Biggest miracle of all, man. Just it was a beautiful weekend. That's first and foremost. Start with that, and just obviously my Tigers. The Lord bless it with that second miracle. That's because I
Yeah,
think we was going. How do you? It's crazy that you go from the way we started. You beat a team by 10 runs in extra innings. That's like
yeah,
going from 6-1 or 6-0, and we outscored them 16-1 the rest of the way. That's a miracle in
yeah.
itself, brother.
It's a miracle. Shout out to the gymnastics team for making I guess it's the semifinals
Hmm.
or just making it to nationals. Shout out to them. I went to those meets when they had the regionals. It's a good atmosphere, a good time. But we've got that going on. We've got baseball going on, and I don't know what's wrong with softball. They're winning, but that doesn't say much. There's a reason why we don't cover them as much or at all.
We speak women's basketball team. We got a commitment. Caroline Bradley commits to us. That broke yesterday. One premier
Yeah,
young ladies, a 5-star recruit. One of the top players in the country. From
that's huge.
Oak Grove, Louisiana. Yes, that's big time.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to the
Then we've
program
got,
to getting that.
I listened to a little bit of Lane Kiffin's press conference yesterday, and he said at the moment, this is going to be a defensive team.
Yeah,
And like he said, it's because those guys know the system. We've got a lot coming back. He said we are going to taking it personally. He needs to get the run game going
hmm,
because that's how he's offensive runs. But
yeah,
speaking of offense and defense, my closing thoughts are we just need to be better defensively,
yeah,
clean up those errors, those mental mistakes, then continue where you left off on the Tennessee series. The
yeah, yeah,
last 3 innings, pick up where you left off offensively there. Let that momentum carry you into this season, the rest of this season, and you'll be fine. You'll be at least a regional team, maybe a super regional team. At the moment, I can't push you into my Omaha 8 just because
not yet.
you're too inconsistent. You need to be more consistent. But yeah, love you guys. Please
You too,
like,
brother.
follow, comment, subscribe, do all the things that need to be done. I always have my links in the YouTube video, and I put the links on the Spotify for the other socials. But yeah, for anybody on spring break like I am, have a great rest of your spring break, and that'll do it from us. Have a great day, a great week, great morning, night, whatever you have. Just make it a great one.
Make it a
That'll
great
do it
one.
from us. Later.
Later.